I was 31 when I started being a GA. I just got married. Okay. I was 31, been coaching for 7 years in high school. I felt lost, man. Like, Coach Kynes was speaking a different language, man. And
I think Coach Kynes speaks a different language for everybody.
Man. And I love it, but like I didn't understand like the terminology.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had our own terminology. And anyway, but my wife really, challenged me to stick with it because I thought I messed up. I need to go back. And I'm thankful I did. I had 8 years in college football, loved it. And anyway, but I was so thankful to hear like things that you would say or like when I said Lane or even now being around Juwan every day, back then I felt like I was just happy to be there.
Okay.
36 unfiltered, aka the unfiltered room with Mr. E. Gray. Introducing all the latest names in the latest news. Hottest take, he the new face, yeah the new sound, but keep it old school. Raw interviews from local athletes, even digging off and entertainment too. Own style, he got his own lane, it's unfiltered out, but keep it raw, man. New content to keep the people ready. E36, no Jerome Bettis, real dialogue and real conversations. You keep it real, but we real. Mr. E. Gray in the building. E36 unfiltered.
Welcome live, everybody. How you doing? It's your man, E. Gray for the E36 Unfiltered Room live podcast. We got the gear here, guys. If you want that merch, we can get that merch for you as well. We got it here. We rocking. This is a special edition, guys. We're going to call this the Hot Coach's Corner, guys. High school football, one of my first love, all right, to prepare me to many more things to come. But anyway, we have a great time here, guys. Get this interview rocking and rolling. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Instagram, E36 Unfiltered _ and also the YouTube page, E36 Unfiltered. We always are unleashing new material, guys. And there's going to be one that's going to be on here. And before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like button, that share button, like button, share button one more time. It's E36 Unfiltered. We have a special guest in the house. Man, me and this guy go way, way back to my college football days at University of Alabama. He was a GA there while I was there. His last year was my last year. Coach Saban's first year there at University of Alabama. Roll Crimson Tide, always in the house. None other guys than the head coach of Westminister Academy High School, Coach Leblanc. How you doing?
I'm doing great, E. Always good to see you.
Man, likewise, absolutely, man. So this is something that's been long overdue. I know we spoke last year about this. I think, or maybe the year before, but we weren't able to get it going. And actually, at that time, I really didn't even have the bandwidth with equipment and things to really probably do what I'm doing now. So everything kind of works out in its own time. And but like I said, man, we want to get you started. This is on a Friday night football, Friday evening football. So we know there's many things to do, whether it's your scouting or getting ready for the game, all these things. I know you guys are off this week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. But so anyway, they done jumped out to a 1-0 start, a heck of a start, man. So let's kind of talk about it, man. The football season, man. What's the expectations? And you guys got a great start. You always want to start 1-0. Yes, let's kind of talk about last week's game, man, against Lee High School. Where you guys actually was kind of a revenge game from last year.
That's right. So we put Lee back on the schedule this year. They're obviously a bigger school than us classification-wise, but our guys have competed well with them.
Yes.
And I thought it would be a good measuring stick for us. They were definitely bigger, not just in classification but in size. And so we worked really hard on conditioning all summer, and then and then just execution. And I felt like the guys did a great job coming out, being prepared, and sustaining early so that we could pull ahead later.
I got you. And God, with that, it's crazy. You talk about understanding and what to do. Kind of like, okay, we know we're outsized, maybe outmanned, but we knew our key would be our conditioning, and we was kind of leaning on that to be able to burst out in the second half. To merely pull away, and that's exactly what you guys did to a tune of victory. So you guys was able to pull out in the second half. So kind of explain that strategy, man, and what was the difference for this game?
I think the conditioning played a big part of it. We have a very young team. I have 60 players, but only 10 seniors, and
wow. Okay.
So they. Getting those guys to understand, like, what does it mean to condition in the summer? Why are we doing this? Coach, we don't play till August 19th, and it's June. You're killing us.
Yes.
But but the guys really bought in, and we saw in the first half where we kind of traded licks with each other, and it was tied 16-16, and then in the second half, our guys felt fresh. Most of our guys play one way, and so they're able to go off the side and make adjustments. It was so good to turn around and see Coach Simpson or Coach Riley with the defense or the offense making those adjustments, and then seeing it happen in real time on the field was what we're about. We're never going to line up and just say, "Hey, we're bigger than you. We're going to push you around," or "We're faster than you. We'll just throw it over your head." It's got to be a total team effort from the staff to the players for us to be able to be successful.
I love that what you're talking about is basically being able to have the foresight as a head coach. This is your first, you started here in 2016 when you took the head coaching position, and having a young kid, a young group like you talk about, you're only having 10 seniors. And to me, that's so critical because, again, they have to trust you. And when coming into the summer, like, while we're running, coach don't start, the season don't start until August. We're doing all this running, this and that. But you had the foresight to see, hey, I understand what we have, and I understand where we got to win at. We got to out-condition these teams, how to outlast these teams. I look at that as, people understand that that's a confidence booster. Not only for the kids, but even for yourself.
Oh, yes.
And for them, like, okay, coach was right. He had a point there. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, you were exchanging blows back and forth the whole time, and boom, now you bust out the second half, and they can't keep up. Let's talk to you, man. What was that feeling in your gut, in your eyes, and your staff when you saw they're not ready for this from a condition standpoint? We got there. When did you notice that? I guess smelling blood in the water, they kind of say, Well,
we saw hints of it in the first half, and kept encouraging our guys, to not give up. Obviously, never to give up, but to just keep pushing, keep punching. One of the core values that we set for ourselves back in the spring was belief, and we defined it as choosing to trust. And so we wanted to set that up from the very beginning, like, guys, we're going to put you through some things, and you're just going to have to trust us, And so after the game, it was really cool to come full circle with that and say, aren't you glad you trusted? Aren't you glad you bought in? And so they had a little bit more focus this past week when we practiced, even though it was an off week and we did some conditioning. There weren't as few. There was fewer groans and oh, coach, we running again, So that was good, and the coaching staff was great. They bought in immediately with it and understood it, and so having it be more than just my voice pushing them during the off season work was great for me. And then I think it was just a unifying thing for our staff, a unifying thing for our team, and then between the staff and the team. Just helped us be more cohesive. I
got you. So let's talk about some of the additions that you have added. I got to tell my man, hometown guy, I'm so proud of him. And, you added on. And you had another, I didn't know until we talked earlier off air that you even had Brad Smelly here a couple years ago, another former Bama guy. Right. Which speaks volume to you, the impact that you left and that you had while you was at ACA and UA. And like I said, it just shows who you are. That players almost 20 years later, going on 20 years later, want to come back and be a part of what you got going on. So we're bringing Juwan, kind of take through that journey, how that came to be and what he has meant to this program so far.
So, I started being a GA in 2005, but it wasn't until after the Cotton Bowl that I started working with defense. And I'd always coached linebackers, and I was so thankful that Coach Kynes asked me to be a defensive GA, and I was going to be his GA. And so I was in that linebacker room, and Juwan and I asked him if he remembered this, and he did. He's trying to get the film ready for Coach for a spring meeting, and he had it cut up, with teach tape, jet red, something 30 cup red, and so the computer was acting up, and so here comes Coach Kynes, and I know I got to have the film ready, man, and so so I'm back there fiddling with it, and Juwan's giving me grief. He's like, man, he said, Lou, you better hurry, man. Coach gonna get you. And so anyway, Juwan asked a question, which bought me time. And finally, it started working. And while Coach was writing on the board and answering the question, Juwan hit me and says, "Man, I got you, man." And so Juwan really did me a solid, because I could just hear Joe now, coming down on me. But anyway, we got it going. So anyway, I've kept up with him, kept up with his career. When he moved back up here after retiring from the CFL, I reached out trying to see if he would come. And at the time, it just wasn't right, but I brought him over in the offseason, had him kind of clinic with a couple of our members of our staff about some technique. Several of our kids, had seen him throughout the years and some training. And so after 2 or 3 visits of him clinicking with our staff, we were walking to his truck, and I said, man, if you worked here, man, we could do this kind of stuff all the time. And and I just the seed had already been there. I just threw some water on it, and over the next couple of months, we talked through it and came over and interviewed, and man, he came. And what's been great about it is I was the defensive coordinator / head coach ever since I started being a head coach. And as the program's grown, that's just become too much. I just couldn't do either well.
Gotcha.
And so bringing him in is unbelievable because one, just what he's accomplished. It's been that just gives him credibility. But two, he brings an unbelievable energy to the staff and to the team, accountability, diversity. He brings another way of thinking. There's so many positives that have happened. Our kids have fallen in love with what he's doing. He's energized, not just the defense, but the team. They're already imitating him, which is always a sign, he's been accepted into the group. And so I love him. And what I also love about him and my offensive coordinator, Josh Riley, is both of them, this is their first year to coordinate. And and they both have been so open, like, Coach, what are you seeing? What do we need to change? What do you want to, talk to me? What do you, And they've just been open to it. And so there's, I tell guys in the staff room, I got no ego, guys. I don't care who's right. I just care about what's right. And they've taken that and living it. And so we can actually have open-ended conversations about what we're doing offensively and defensively. And the goal is to help those kids be successful. And both of them, they believe in what they're doing, and I trust what they're doing. But when we come together, we can fix things, and I believe it's going to benefit us on the team. The staff, because of that, the staff has been so cohesive. And but I really say that started, I'd love to take credit for that, but I really believe it started with Juwan. That Juwan came in and he's so personable and just didn't stick to the defensive staff. He started shaking hands with those offensive staff members, joking with them, and
bridging that.
Bridging that gap, that you want. So now, staff meetings are. You look forward to them instead of it being a dreaded thing or, man, we got to get this done kind of thing. You can tell both sides of the aisle there are getting along together, and that's always a positive.
Man, that goes extremely far.
I think the players see it, and I think that helps them be tighter.
That's absolutely. It falls from the top down, man. And again, that's a testament to you as being able to see that and being able to having a coach that allow their assistants to grow, to be themselves, and knowing that, hey, I hired you not for you to be a robot. I hired you for who you are. Your personality is going to stick out first, and then everything that's will follow along the line. Your work ethic and accountability that you talk about, man. And for me, kind of just talking about with Juwan, and I'm not surprised in that because he was like that at Bama.
That's right.
He was a captain. That's not nothing easy. CFL. He's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame before it's all said and done. With Calgary, just in general. He's a captain there, you know what I'm saying? So he a guy like that understands what the importance of chemistry, the importance of accountability, the importance of team camaraderie. So all those things kind of make. I think you just had adding that addition, man. Just couldn't be no better. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm going to tell you something else about him. All that you just described about him and what he's accomplished, and then if we go have a team meeting in the cafeteria, he's the first one folding chairs and stacking things. He's helping us clean up sidelines, and I told him that. I said, you have no idea how far that goes with your coaches that are on the staff with you, and then these players that you're trying to impact, that you're not just standing up there saying, hey, y'all need to do this, take care of your business. Like, you're doing it, and no job's too small, and you can tell it's a genuine thing. He's not doing that to just get likes. He's doing it because it's who he is. And so it's been awesome. I was on the phone with him last night, just going over some notes, and he's just, I don't know, it's just been good. It's been really good for me too, and I hope it's had a huge positive impact on him. And I've loved what he's done defensively, and took a plan that we had in place and polished it, and then added to it, and put his flair on it. And it's been good.
Okay, good, man, great. So, and like I said, that like I said is a proud moment to hear that, knowing I know both of you guys personally, and I know what you're saying is just no bull. It's real. You know, it's what you guys are. And speaking of that, man, you started, of course, the GA. It was at Westminister. It's been 24 years you've been in the game of coaching.
Correct.
And going from there, and then you talk about the relationship you had with your former coach. Now he moved up here. You end up coming up here with him. And we spoke about this off the air. And we know, and I just speak from college football because that's when I was more rooted and grounded and really seeing that. And I was also a coach. Many of you know that I actually coached down at JUCO Junior College with, remember Dennis Alexander? Yeah. Big D, Charles Jones, Coach Bates, who is now the DC at Oklahoma. You know, was at Clemson for a while. So Todd taught me into coming to coaching. He got me in at East Central Community College, which is in the place called Decatur, Mississippi.
Right.
I don't know. It's in the middle of nowhere. If you ever been down there, there's nothing out there. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, great time, great learning experience, and I was able to work with a great coach, a great man, Coach Ken Karsher, who's still down there. But anyway, I said all that to say, you know how the grueling times of being a GA and what you go through, and how tough it is, and how if you're not meant for it, you'll find out. Like, okay, this ain't it, because the pay ain't great, the hours are long, the admiration for it, or better yet, getting the accolades and getting recognized is slim to none. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really grow into it, but also just in high school, it can be a fickle game. It can be nasty. It can be the politics and things that go into it. There's so much things go into it, man. And I talked about this out there. Is that one thing I appreciate about you is your spirit that you've been able to maintain. You didn't ever coach me because you coached the D line. But every time I came around you, and seeing you had this humbleness, this meekness about you, this it's just a good spirit that, like, okay, he ain't quite contaminated with all this. You know what I'm saying? He's still, it's almost like he still hasn't been plucked in. But everybody, and again, that's what comes with it. But you still had the ability to be able to be a coach and know how to put your foot down, but do it in a way where you still make each and every one of us, no matter whether it was a walk-on, no matter if you was a scholarship guy, a freshman, a senior, feel respected, feel like a human. And I can only, and then see now, to meet you now, just 15 years ago, and counting, and still feel that same from you, it's major, and that's big. And it has to be part of your faith. This is a Westminister Christian Academy. So I want you to speak on that, man, as to how have you been able to maintain it. And this is not only for people, just your team and people going to see this, but just for other coaches that are out there, be able to maintain that pureness, so to speak, of who you are and what you are about.
Man, Eric, you just said a lot, and again, just to hear you even say that, I grew up just from humble beginnings. My mom was a single mom, and she was a manicurist, and there was one thing I knew, that I didn't want to be a manicurist. and I had a man named Arthur Johnson that stepped into my life as a coach, asked me to be the water boy for the varsity team at this little private Christian school I went to, and man, he saw something in me and treated me like a son. And then I wound up playing for him until the 10th grade, and then I went to a different school, but he stayed in my life. And I'll never forget the night before my first practice as an American Christian Academy football coach and teacher, I called him. I was terrified. I was like, what if they hate me? What if they don't like me? What if they don't respect me? And he said something to me I've never forgotten. He says, you coach the person first and the player second. Wow. He said, don't you ever forget that. If you do that, I promise you, you will earn their respect. They'll die for you. And when I started, that night after I hung up the phone, I was like, my whole career as a player for him was replayed. And I saw where that's what he did to us. And he pushed us and he drove us, but we knew he loved us. And so that's what I set out to do. I was single. I lived and breathed football. I was a position coach for 2 years and became a defensive coordinator for 5, and just loved it. And then I went to Bama. And man, I felt like I don't belong here. Like
Big Bama.
I didn't play college football, and here I am for a job. I'm working a job that I didn't even apply for, that someone gave Coach Shula my name, and next thing I know, I'm there, and felt like everyone was talking in a different language, and I had Coach Kynes, which I love. I still talk to this day.
Man.
But man, he could be pretty gruff, So anyway, I'm working, and I couldn't have felt more insignificant, and I remember going home and telling my wife, I messed up. I need to go back to American Christian Academy. And she said, she really encouraged me, and I stayed, obviously, and just kept thinking about what Coach told me. You coach the person first, the player second. And so as a GA, you're begging for any opportunity to coach, because you're always in the film room or you're doing whatever the coaches tell you to do. And so any interaction with you guys was like a shot in the arm of adrenaline of just, wow, this is why I'm doing this and pulling these 90-hour weeks for $10,000 a year. So anyway, to hear you say that just means more than you could ever imagine. And because I've been coaching for 24 years, and I've had multiple conversations of either parents or players that have said, Coach, you said something one time that changed my life. And I couldn't even remember the conversation, but God spoke through me, because I recognized that quickly, that if it wasn't for God, then I probably would have never met AJ. And if I hadn't met AJ, I wouldn't have had this father figure that shaped my life. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been in football and had the opportunity to do the same for others. And so doing this is an extension of my gratitude of God having grace in my life and giving me the ability to even have a platform in someone's life. When I thought growing up, hey man, you're insignificant, you're a nobody, what have you done, and what are you going to amount to? And then getting into this role and still feeling that at times, like, man, how are you going to impact these people, and what have you done? And then to see God use you is so freeing, because it drops the pressure. I don't have to have the perfect words to say to this young man. I don't have to have the perfect plan. I just need to be there. I just need to be a conduit. Say, God, just please use me. And I'm telling you, that is more intoxicating than any win, any accolade or award, to see that you are building into somebody's life. And so in 2018, we had the best season in school history, undefeated for the first time, went to the playoffs for the third time in school history, and went to the third round for the first time in school history. And I remember thinking, okay, we had 44 guys on the team that year. We're going to have to build a new locker room. They're going to come. This is going to happen. And the next year we had 42 guys on the team. And I remember
how that worked.
Well, I remember driving home and I was so upset. I was blown up that these kids that I was hoping would play, that were walking the halls, didn't. And I just couldn't believe it. And I was sitting in a red light on the way home. I lived right over here off Indian Creek. And God said, you really thought winning was going to grow the program? Oh, man. And I just realized that I had put myself on that throne, that when I win, like, hey, thanks God for helping me this far, but I got it from here, And it was like, hey, what about coaching the person first and the player second? And so it was
right back.
Got right back. So it was that year that we developed. The purpose of our program is to build better men. That's it. We want to build better men. We want to use football to build better men. And so we've doubled down on that. We preach it. It's on the back of one of our T-shirts. It's on every email I send. And man, the roster has grown. We haven't been undefeated since. We've only been in the playoffs once.
Since 2019, the following year, you had 42 players. You still was able to win.
That's right.
Make it to the playoffs.
That's
again.
right.
So that speaks for something as well.
Yes, sir. And so the roster's growing. The middle school program's growing. We're going to have a JV team again this year. And again, I'm not saying tons of numbers means anything. I'm not saying that. But it's just, I'm thankful that people are looking and saying, I want to be a part of that. There's something here, and we're 9-11 in the last 2 years, so they're not coming for the winning record. The fact that you have parents stop and say, "I want my kid to be a part of the program. I want you to influence him." That's how can you put a worth and a value on that? It's priceless. And now that my son and my middle son are close to that age, and they're being impacted, man, as a parent, it is so huge to me when I hear them come home and say, Coach so-and-so said this, or Mr. So-and-so in the class said this. It's priceless.
Yes, yes, I love it, man. And like I said, that speaks to, like I said, it's a process. Everything's a process. You never know when what you have gained maybe over 20 plus years ago in your life, or whenever, how it can still be applied to your life this day to kind of remind you of who you are or your purpose and things of that nature. So that's a beautiful aspect of it, man. And now rolling into it, now get back to the part of it. You don't want to base it on winning. No. Winning's also going to keep you here.
That's exactly
keep things going. So there's also a part of that. With that being said, it's been since 2019 since you guys have made the playoffs, and now you're going into you 1-0, starting 1-0. I know you guys are Region 4. Is it Region 4? Region 8.
4A, Region 8.
Okay, 4A, Region 8. Then you guys got Priceful in your region. Is Lawrence County still in there?
They're not.
They moved
we got
up.
Madison County,
and North Jackson.
North Jackson.
Okay, so y'all got them coming up next week.
I
know last year was 22-23. Was it 1 point loss for last year?
No, last year they beat us by 14.
14. Okay, 36-22. I think it was.
I think so. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. My bad. So you guys going into this year now again. The reason I said it because they talk about Alabama being a revenge. It's a revenge for University of Alabama this year. You guys got your revenge on the one team with Lee last year. What's the motivation? What has been the spirit of going into this game now? You got a big win over a team that's a bigger team, a bigger classification. How much confidence do you think that built into going into this North Jackson game coming up?
I think, as a player, anytime you win, it's huge. You feel like, well, hey, what we're doing is working. As a coach, a win is great because it solidifies that, hey, I know what I'm talking about, hopefully, with your team, that they are buying in. Anytime you're losing, it's hard. You worry about them jumping out of that boat. And so I think that what's unique about this team is we are so young, and even our seniors are so green that they're just willing to go. Like, just coach, give me a plan. I want to follow the plan. So, so we haven't really talked about revenge or anything like that. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but when y'all were doing the all season running mat drills,
God, fourth quarter.
So, but before that with Coach Shula, when we just called it mat drills, I guess.
Yes.
I remember all the players were thinking, man, these players, the coach is trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us. And so
I'm trying to tell you, like, I told somebody this Monday, I shot ball. And they're like, man, I didn't know you played Alabama. I know you look different when going to stuff. I was like, yeah, man. He said, how was it? I said, it was great. I said, but it ain't for everybody.
It's not for
everybody. I said, the first year, I thought they were trying to kill me.
That's right.
I literally thought they were trying to see would I die or how quick I can get the dub. And I'm like, it can't take all this. I never went through all this to get to play ball. Like, why y'all bring me here to try to kill me?
That's right.
That's in your mind. You're thinking, like, this is winter. Why are we working this hard in the wintertime? What is this doing?
That's exactly right.
But like you said, you stay in the boat. You trust the process. And when you especially find out this ain't nothing new. And they like, come on, freshman, get yourself out. Let's go. So I'm like, dang, they've been doing this for umpteen years now. I got to stay in the boat. I got to do it. So, that interject. That was one of the worst times.
That's
my first year and second year, I thought I was going to die. I said, this ain't for me.
So I think it was 2006 that Coach Shula, what he did, because everybody was complaining, he got a camera. He had somebody get a camera, and he followed around a walk-on offensive lineman, and he only recorded when he worked at mat drills and stopped recording when he was like at the end of the line or whatever. And when he played the tape, I think he worked like 3 minutes and 20 seconds or something.
Yeah, he did that.
Remember
that? About that.
And so I remember I was kind of blown away by that. And what he did was he emphasized that what we're looking for is 6 to 8 seconds of work. Just all you got. Give me 6 to 8 seconds. You're going to get about 30 seconds of break, and then you're going to do it again. Well, I mean, it's a game. It's a play.
Exactly.
And so, anyway, that's what we started this year was, guys, we got to stop looking at, oh my gosh, it's Lee, or oh my gosh, it's North Jackson. Hey, what about just this next 6 to 8 seconds?
That's what it counts. Yes.
And can you just give us everything you got?
Win the play.
And
execute.
So we started saying, we have a man that comes and talks to our team named Roger Kitchen. He's an unbelievable guy with Power Mental Performance, I believe it is. He's gonna kill me if I'm wrong. And but Roger Kitchen, I got introduced to him from Wade Waldrop when he was at James Clemens.
Okay.
And then Roger's done some things with other schools in the area. One of the things he says is an acronym: WIN. What's important now?
Yes.
So we took it a step further and we said, "What's important now?" ? the moment.
Yes.
Win the moment. So it's WIN the moment. What's important now? The moment. Win the moment. So we have that motto. I mean, like, what's important right now? It's this sprint. It's this snap count. It's this play call. It's this audible.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, what's
Yes.
next? I put my hand down. That was the moment.
Yes.
Now what's the next moment? I look at my key. So we're running sprints yesterday. You know, we told them we're going to get 10 perfect 10s. I don't care how many we have to run. And they get down in the dirt. And I said, don't think about 10. We're thinking about this one. And then they won the first one. So, well, that one's over. Erase it. Now let's just win the next one. So, so we haven't, you know, and I know coaches say this all the time, but we really haven't said, you know, hey, guys, you know, North Jackson's coming. And we pulled within 7 last year, but they beat us by 14. You know, we just trying to win the moment.
I like it, man. I love it. You know, and that's so important, man. And I want to kind of talk about this real briefly before we wrap up is you referenced Coach Kahn, you referenced Coach Shula, and I think you inherit a program that has not had a long tradition of winning. You know, getting back, having 2018, 2019 playoff, having missed the last few years, and seeing what it takes to build. Coach Shula came in a tough time, you know, where programs are coming off all probation. You know, it was just a lot going on, and he had to. I think he got an unfair shake when you look at it in hindsight, because of what all he had to be dealing with. First time ever been a head coach. I don't know if he really even coached college for real for a whole lot at that time. I know he's in the NFL, but what are some of the lessons that you think you felt that you brought from him that you was able to maybe even use to this day, and even some of your time with Coach Saban?
Yes, sir. So with Shula, you know, people would always ask me, what was it like working for Shula? Was it different working for Saban? And I said, man, we worked hard for both. You know, it wasn't like it was just a party in the field house. And but one of the things that I have so much respect for Coach Shula was, again, I'm a guy with no pedigree, no resume, and he gave me a chance.
Yes.
And, man, and he's kept up with me over the years. And
cool, nice.
So one of the things I learned from him is, I don't care who you are. If you'll work, man, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I can to help you. And so we don't come in here and say, wow, look at that guy, he's really big, let's put all our energy in him. We got to coach them all, and I don't care who you are, man. If you can help us, we're gonna do everything I can to help you. With Coach Saban, what I learned was it was very similar. Again, he met with us GAs and said, I don't know you, you don't know me, and I'm going to give you the spring as an audition, and if I like you, I'll keep you.
Yes.
And thankfully, I got to stay. And then one day he said, he sent his secretary in and said, I want you to go see Coach Saban. I went in there and he said, every day I'm going to watch recruiting film, and I want you to sit here with me and watch it. Why did he pick me? I have no clue why he picked me. But my point is, that guy's at that time was the $4 million a year man, and he just looked at people and he respected their hard work. So it cemented what Coach Shula was doing in my mind, how he treated people, and if you were a hard worker, that's what he cared about. And I used to just sit there and listen to him as we would watch recruiting film with Coach Saban. I'd write down things he would say, you know, and then we fast forward to the bowl game. It's another Independence Bowl, unfortunately, but we were there and we were playing. Was it Colorado? It was Colorado in 7.
Colorado, yes.
And we were trying to,
State was the first year. So Colorado.
And we were trying to figure out what to do. They kept lining up in empty and motioning back in, or line up in motion and to empty. We're trying to figure out what to do. We're going to just check out of all of our blitzes or whatever. And we talked about it for an hour. And man, you got Kirby Smart, Jeff Collins.
Colorado was 07. Oklahoma State was Saban's first year. So it was Oklahoma State was the junior year. That was a junior. That was my junior. That was Shula last year.
That's correct.
Okay, so
this was Saban with Colorado.
Okay, gotcha. Yes.
And so they were doing all this motion to empty, and we got Kirby Smart in the room, Lance Thompson, Bo Davis, Kevin Steele, Jeff Collins.
Yeah, Coach
all these guys are going on to be head coaches in DCs at different places or the NFL. And we're talking about, what are we going to do? And I'm sitting over there on the side with Dan O'Brien, the other GA, and I'm drawing on my notebook.
Dan O'Brien was there?
Yeah, Dan O'Brien was there.
Wow, I'm tripping. Okay.
Yeah. And so then Saban looks over at me and says, well, what do you think? You've been drawing on that notebook for an hour. And so I'm looking around the room like,
me?
So I tell him what I think, and he turns around and draws on the board and he goes, I like it. We're gonna do what he said. You know, and I remember thinking, I was like, and so when we actually did it in the game, and I was terrified. I was like, what if it don't work? I'm fired, you know. And it worked. And but my point in telling that story was, man, Coach did not have the ego to say, I ain't gonna ask that guy. He don't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, he looked at me and said, well, what do you think? You know, I don't know, that just spoke tremendous amount of just humility and what it takes. Like, I just want to win this game.
Yeah, I want to be great. I want to win. Yes.
So from that, I was like, so Coach Shula helped me look at guys on the team, and man, I don't care who you are. If you're a hard worker, man, I want to help you, and also my staff. And then Saban really cemented it with, man, I trust you. You know, you've proven to be in the room here. So what do you think? You know, and I don't know. That was really a special time. I look back on those moments that stick out, and you felt like, hey, I really do matter. You know what I mean? Somebody is, paying attention. I'm even here. You know, and then just the attitude of hard work from both coaches of everything matters. If it doesn't matter, why are we asking them to do it? You know, and so therefore, as coaches, we need to make sure that if we ask them to do something, it has value. We're not just going to do a drill because that's just what we've always done. And I'll tell you, man, Saban, that dude at the beginning of the year for that year, and I'm sure they did it after I left. He got that massive Miami Dolphins playbook out before we converted it to Alabama. And we went through every page, Eric, every page. And I remember, like,
I think my mind could ever constant. I said, my mind ain't gonna better grasp this.
I know. And but we went through every page, and Kirby said he does this every year. He evaluates every call and says, should we keep it or should we not?
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it's no wonder he is so successful because, again, we're not just going to learn this defense because it's always been in the book. Does it have value? If not, what can we do to change it? And if it's not going to change, get it out. And also, let's add to it. Add more.
Like, it was 25 checks to everything. How you check to everything? Like, how's that many checks and everything?
I know.
But
he could do it. But so that was something that was, he said, when I left to go to West Georgia, he sat down and he said, listen, you'll never take the place you were and turn the place you're going into that place. It's not going to happen. You got to know where you're going, what makes it tick, and you have to buy into. He says, you're not working for me anymore, you're working for somebody else, and you have to figure out what does that guy want and how is he going to do it. Don't go over there saying, well, this is the way we used to do it. And again, it just showed you his, the guy that should be full of an ego, he's not. He's just, man, you go and serve that guy, you work hard for him, you make him a better head coach. And so those are the lessons, I guess, that transcend time.
To interject what you're saying, I think that also shows a great testament of how he's able to continue to win and continue to stay on top. He has the ability to understand what each coach or what each GA coach player brings to the table.
Exactly right.
He's not afraid. All the turnover that goes on Alabama year after year after year, like how they keep on keeping good coaches, how they keep on reeling them in. We used to hear nobody want to work Coach Saban because he worked too hard. Who don't work?
That's right.
You can't be great without working hard. That doesn't happen. And like I said, it shows that a testament to him that, you know what, I know that I'm only strong as my weakest link, or I'm as strong as my staff. Everybody bring it from top to bottom, and I love that about. One thing I respect about him with that is people understand how Bama keep on reloading. Of course, the machine that it has become, but it's that he coaches everybody the same from top to bottom. You mess up a drill, because people understand, like, he was the position coach. Him and Coach Smart, who was now at Georgia. Coach Smart coached the safety, he coached the corners, but they still intertwined. And he was going at Coach Smart. Coach Smart was going to him if he feel like they want to hold the end of the bargain up or whatever, saying little things here and there. But he would coach. I don't care if you was a freshman, if you was a walk on. Don't mess up his drill.
Don't mess up his drill.
Every detail counts. Small details count. And that's one thing that I always have taken from him, even in my life now, in my acting career. The small things matter. That's understanding, who. I want everybody. Who's on the set. The person that's catering our food in, the makeup artist, I want to know her name, I want to shake her name, his or her name, the wardrobe person, the sound man that's hiding under there, you can't even see where the mic is at. All these things matter, because without having it all in a cohesive manner, it does not work. The production does not work.
That's right.
And I think he understands it even with his coach. So I like, Coach Saban want to know everything. Like he detailed on everything, what the lunchroom lady, what they feed us, how much they feed us, what time we eat.
We were watching film one time and he paused it. And I'm like, he was angry. And there was a guy that showed up on film at practice and he put the laser on him and said, "Who's that? How come I didn't know that guy?" He said, "Guys, y'all don't bring anybody out to practice. I want to know everybody that's supposed to be." And I never even saw it, but he saw it. And but you're right.
Like
everybody in the building mattered. And he said, "We don't have a totem pole here. We have a chain. And I know I'm the head coach, but he said we have a chain, and if the person that cleans the building is a link in the chain, and if they don't do it, the chain's broken. We can't get to where we're going, and so that was eye opening. When you hear everybody else outside the building saying, "Man, I bet he's an egomaniac," or I'm saying he just shooting people from his throne with lightning bolts. That really wasn't it. He got everybody, and I remember the first time he chewed me out was in mat drills at the wave drill over there with Coach Smart. And y'all were doing the chase the rabbit. And you blow the whistle, and they'd have to turn and break down and buzz your hip.
Yeah.
Well, the guy in front of me was buzzing his feet, but he was just bent over at the waist because he's so tired. And what I did was I looked at the next group to see if they were up and ready. Well, the guy in front of me is not a good football stance, and I hear, "Hey, Louie, do you know what a good football position is?" And it's Coach Saban. I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Well, get your thumb out of your butt and get him in one." I was like, "Yes, sir." But it was so funny because he wasn't just watching the players; he was watching me. What are you doing? Do you deserve to be? It's exactly right. Are you making us better? And if you're not, then you don't need to be here.
Yes.
And so most people. Not say most. Some people get offended by that. Man, I'm out here working for $10,000 a year, and you're going to yell at me. But I knew he wanted me to be a better coach, and if I could be a better coach, and you could be a better player, because I might see or say something to you that you remembered.
Yes.
And I need to be in a better position. Who knows? So that's
truthfully.
Seriously, the more people that are echoing the message, the more it sticks.
Look, real quick, then we're gonna get off of this one. All right. For conditioning, we used to do conditioning with Coach Saban. Instead of doing sprint stuff, he wanted to make sure everything's football related. So we would line up, and it was straight go route for the receivers, and we got to cover them. Like it's going this side going down. So when you walk over there, you walk the other side, you're going down. And by the time you do it 8 or 9 times within a minute span, you're tired.
That's right.
So your stands, you see them looking over there. Be honest, you take this. Man, you ready? Just take a break. And somehow he whip his eye and see, Eric, great, get out, get your back, get your hands up. Oh, shoot. And he got the receiver as well, because we're trying to have a little buddy system like, well, you go, right. You take it easy, you take it easy. Oh no. Every small thing counted. Why your hands by your waist? Why your hands down here? Get them hands up.
It's crazy. Small
things, your feet is you already anticipating and running a go route. So your feet was already cheating. I saw that, and it's like, dude, this is conditioning, coach. But at that point in time, it matters. Because when you get it, when you're in the fourth quarter, you can't assume that you can't take those light plays off because it can cost you a game. It can cost you putting on. You're gonna hear that sound. You don't want to be on ESPN getting blown by like that, So all these things, man. And when I watch the game and I see people understand the discipline that they exemplify and the things, and it's why also the alarm when you don't see this, like, wait, what a minute, what's going on here?
That's right.
As a former player and coach, like, wait, I know this ain't they coaching. What's going on? They getting relaxed or whatever.
That's right.
But those things happen because again, you're dealing with 19, 20-year-old kids and stuff like that. So the things happen. Now, with that being said, we gotta talk about your QB, Brandon Brandon Mush Jr. 5'10", 5'11", a true bona fide star in the makings, man. This guy, I think, 186, 80 some yards passing, 76% on your completion rating. That's crazy. Yeah. 3 touchdowns. They on the ground 150 some yards. He got almost 350 yards by himself, all-purpose yards.
Yes, sir.
Not to mention your receiver, Owen Lockett. Owen Lockett, hundreds on plus yards receiving as well. So he did his thing. He's a senior for you guys, man. What's so special? Because clearly he is your bell cow. He is the MVP. He is your guy. Let's talk about him a little bit, man, and the leadership, because he's playing a position where the quarterback is the leader of the team.
Correct.
And what he means to you guys and how special this young man is.
So we do something here where we pull the 8th graders up at the end of the season if they're not playing a winter sport. So we pull Brandon up as an 8th grader, and we are in the playoffs in 2019, and Randolph County comes to town, second round of the playoffs. And we had a kid named Jackson Billings who was a 3A back of the year finalist that year, and he was our quarterback, and he was it. I mean, he was our offense. And we had some good receivers and all, but when they were covered, Jackson could run for days. Jackson walked on at Auburn. He's a receiver down there. Okay. But he is a special athlete. Well, Randolph County got double tight, wishbone, ran down our throat, scored. We get the ball with Jackson, and our second drive, Jackson gets a high ankle sprain. His high school career is over, and he can't move. We taped him up.
Yes.
So we put the backup quarterback in, and man, Randolph County's blitzing. They are blowing us up, and so our offensive coordinator put in 8th grade Brandon Mush, and that kid got in the huddle, and it wasn't the first drive, but the second drive he was in, he went all the way down the field and we scored. Tears in his eyes. I mean, they lit him up, Coach. They lit him. They had no mercy, man. Randolph County was tough. And so anyway, the receivers came over and they said, Coach, there's your quarterback. There's something about him. Tears in his eyes, not sobbing. I mean, but just he's blown up, man. Felt it. And he's looking at those guys in the eyes and he's calling the plays. And so anyway, the next year I had a new offensive coordinator. And I said, here are the guys that want to be a QB. I'm not telling you nothing. It's your job. You figure it out. And so Brandon became a starter as a 9th grader, and has started ever since. He's the real deal. And what I mean by that is he'll be the first one to get on the ground and play with little kids. He will thank his O-lineman. He'll get up here and meet anybody who wants to get extra work and get extra work.
Love it.
He will pick up trash. He's just – I don't know how. He's got a great family, and he's an only child, and man, they pour into him, and you would think maybe only child, maybe kind of selfish. And look at, he's not. You keep waiting for
for the shoe to drop
something, but man, the more attention he gets, the more he thanks God, the more he thanks his team and coaches, and just a joy to be around, and. So I'm thankful for him. I can't imagine what it's going to be like around here when he leaves. Some big shoes to fill. The kids respect him, and he commands the offense. But you've never seen him be
disrespectful.
Over time. I mean, he'll if you're not protecting, if it's a bad snap, if it's a wrong route, he's going to call you. But it's not from this. I'm up here throwing rocks at you, and you should be on my level. It's I want you up here, but you can't get here until you do.
Earn this.
And but if you ask him, he would never even say he's on that upper level. That he wouldn't say that. But
and that's what it's about for other people to do that, not him. So that's good. Yes.
And every coach we go against, he asked me about 2. He said, "Man, who's number 2? That guy. He can do it. Where'd y'all find him?" And he used to come to my football camp in the summer. Just a little guy out there, and. But he's got something special about when he throws that ball. He can spin it.
I seen and the timing of his route. Out route hit it's there. So they turn around like, oh.
Yeah, he can spin it, and then he's his feet are really good. I mean, he could be a starting running back easily at most high schools, and but there's just something about his pocket presence, or something about his decision making abilities, and it was fun to see him play so freely last week. Even after Lee had a long drive to go down and score, and then he just grabbed that offense and they just went, and went for 2. We do swinging gate, and he got almost every one of them that we did. And he came to the sideline on the one we didn't get. I was like, Coach, I'm sorry, man. I should have cut up, and I went for the pylon, but. He's like another coach on the field, and you just love his humility because you see other guys modeling that.
Yes. Okay, I love it, man. The biggest thing about that what you did explain about this young man is that you spoke, if not more, just as much about his off the field, his character, as you did about his talent, which is evident for anybody who walks in the stadium or watch any film of him. You can see, okay, this guy, he's nice, he's special.
So I'll give you a great example. I'm working lunchroom duty today, and lunchroom ladies come in and they always ask, like, Coach, do you know these names? They haven't picked their lunch up. So there's Brandon's name. So I'm like, well, he's here, and so we're trying to find him. We can't. I'm like, well, he didn't check out. You know where he was? He was in the gym. And he was walking through the gym after workouts, and the middle schooler said, will you play dodgeball with us or whatever they were playing? And he said, sure. And he spent like 20 minutes of his 30-minute lunch break in there playing with these middle school kids because they wanted him to. And he finally came in the lunchroom just sweating. He said, sorry, Coach, time got away from me. And we handed him his lunch. But he could have just said, no, man, I gotta go eat. I want to go hang out with my friends. But those old middle schoolers, I mean, they loved it. Man, the varsity quarterback played with us in PE today.
You don't get no bigger. Varsity quarterback,
you know what I'm saying? And so my son, my 12-year-old son, he thinks Brandon hung the moon. And then one of our coaches has a little boy. Coach Sloan has a little boy named Brandon. They have the same name. And he and Big Brandon, Little Brandon connected at youth camp, and man, that little guy, he colors pictures and gives it to Brandon. He always goes to see.
Man. Okay, that's what's
Brandon
about.
Little Brandon was at practice yesterday, and at the end of practice, Big Brandon's on the ground, playing with him. I mean, we just got finished running 10 perfect 10s. Probably took us about 18 sprints to get those 10, but
a lot of things.
You could have said, "Hey, man, good to see you. High five, walk on." But he made that kid's day, getting on the ground and playing with him. So that's just who he is, and it just evidences itself on the field.
Yes,
guys trust him, guys believe in him, and they respect him.
I love it, man. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna take much more of your time, man. Any more of your time, actually. This has been, I can talk to you forever. It's football, life in general, man. And like I said, just seeing the progression that you have made in your career as a man, as a husband, every aspect of it, man. I can be more proud to be able to be in this position to talk to you, to have this platform, to bring you on this platform, and it's what it's created for guys like yourself. So, guys, anyway, this is gonna wrap it up for here, guys. It's once again, E-Grade E36 Unfiltered Podcast Room, guys. Check it out. Go like it. Go subscribe. It's coming very soon, guys. And last but not least, guys, the Westminister Christian Academy head coach, the man, my man, Coach Leblanc. Have a good, guys.
We are in here, Westminster High School, guys. Westminster Academy Christian High School, all right? You see the way I didn't grow up with this. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with all of this, but this is great. This is not even the varsity football team. They're getting in here, they're working hard, guys. So they can go out and push some sleds after this. So, I mean, this is what you love, man. Got the weight here, working hard. Some of the young men here. We love it, man. E36 behind the scenes, baby. We here.
Hey,